Hey everybody, and welcome back to Fresh Set. I'm Sabrina,
Kevin,
and we're back after the
we're doing our
Canadian Grand
best
Prix.
not to talk about everything before we start recording.
Yeah. Before we jump into any of that, just a reminder, on social media, you can find us at Fresh Set Podcast. You can like, share, subscribe, follow, comment, all of those things, as well as wherever you get your podcasts and YouTube. Make sure to do the same thing: like, share, comment, subscribe, follow,
Whatever they got, stars, I
whatever.
don't know what they got,
Exactly.
thumbs up,
Yeah.
whatever the fuck. Yeah,
Whatever. 39 seconds in and you're already guessing.
I love it. It's been a great day. I'm having a good time.
Yeah. But to jump into this weekend, we
Like to set
finally
a
have a
tone.
race again. It is the Canadian Grand Prix.
Woo.
And it was.
Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada. It was a
You know
good.
what? We'll start off with this. We'll start off with this. We have a lot to say about some of the country's choices to do um national anthems. Some are great, some aren't. Canada's last year specifically was horrendous. I don't know if you
I
remember.
don't even remember it.
It was, I don't know how to describe it, but it was the one that left you looking at the camera like mouth open, like what the fuck was this? Everybody was in different, like it was a very different, eclectic kind of style. You don't remember it all?
I'll be very honest, I don't always watch at that
I don't
point.
always watch that point either. I don't, it depends on where I'm watching the broadcast.
Yeah.
This one was a choir group. They did a great job. They did a
Oh,
very,
okay.
very good job. It was a well executed rendition of "O Canada" in a choir group. I think mostly because if you put it together to, I believe it was last year's. I don't think it was 2024. I believe it was last year's. To last year's "O Canada," which was, just gonna leave it at that before I get into too much trouble.
It was
It was
different.
horrendous, essentially. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Don't remember. But anyways, it was uh weather-wise, it was supposed to be a little chilly. They got a little bit of rain this weekend, which plays into some of the stuff that happens during the race. Um, but before we get into all of that, this was Canada's first sprint race that was held in Canada, and it was a back to back because we had a sprint
Yeah.
last race in Miami. And
Which can they call it back to back when we have 2 weeks between? Like they kept saying back to back, and I'm like, this doesn't feel
I guess back to back
like I feel like I
races.
haven't seen a race
Yeah.
in a long time.
Yeah. Um, I kind of like Canada as a sprint, not because we are in
No,
Canada. It's a good, fun track for a sprint.
it is just a good fun track. Yes.
Yeah,
I
because it's
think the
fast.
fact that they also it is fast.
Yeah.
A lot of fast braking zones, a lot of chicanes, a lot of opportunities to pass, a lot of opportunities for somebody to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And then when you couple that with moving up the race by about 3 weeks, where Canadian weather in May is wholly
Questionable.
unpredictable. I mean, I lived here my whole life, especially in
Yeah.
Ontario. You've lived here your whole life. We've been
Yeah.
through several Victoria Day weekends, which is a long weekend for us. Or well, it's that's just after the long weekend, whatever. But either way, in the month of May, where yes, you could get unseasonably warm, where you're at
Hmm.
30 degrees, 29 degrees, 28 degrees, whatever. The average here would be about anywhere between 18 and 22 at this
Yeah.
time of year, probably. Rarely 22. But you are very easily going to get
The other
the
side.
eight, yeah, the eight. to 14 degrees
Yeah.
Celsius. We're talking, not
Yeah.
Fahrenheit.
Oh God.
18 degrees Celsius, where 14 degrees Celsius, where it is not only does your tires don't warm up, your track temperature is not going to warm up. This is a track that has not been used for the majority of the season because it's been covered under snow. So this is probably
Yeah.
the first race we're actually going to have here of the season. They might have other races throughout the year, but it's not.
Yeah.
They're few and far between.
Yeah.
So the track evolution throughout the weekend is going to be high because there is no rubber.
Yeah.
And because there is no use of this man-made island, which was originally made for the Expo, Montreal Expo in 1960 or something like that, because there's barely any use of this track throughout the rest of the winter months, animals make homes here
Yeah.
very consistently from September on to, but up until now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not during a race weekend, I don't think, but we've seen pictures of deer and I think we have seen foxes there during a race weekend, groundhogs every year. This year we
The
had
British called
geese.
marmots, yeah, geese.
This year we had geese. Um,
Very
so yeah,
consistently,
yeah,
groundhogs and
yeah, the
geese.
groundhogs. Yeah, the groundhogs are
Yeah.
definitely the ones that
And
are
I mean,
there all the
it's
time.
Canada. Seagulls by the water
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah, yeah. So it makes for a fun weekend because anything is possible. But I
Yeah.
mean, we haven't seen, and a sprint is fast, and things happen quickly in a sprint, and
And everybody's trying to make moves.
sometimes,
You got
yeah, and sometimes,
23 laps it was this year?
yeah,
23 in this race, right? Yes.
23. And when it's a longer track, something that takes, a minute 30 to usually go around, like qualifying times, the sprints don't feel that fun because you're like still waiting. But when it's a track that you're qualifying in the 112s,
Yeah.
it feels even faster.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed
Well,
the
for
sprint this weekend.
I did. I mean, for the
Yeah.
track, I mean, this is a very similar track to say something like Singapore. I mean, it's not as yeah, actually, kind of. I mean, Singapore is a very tight track. This one is tight in certain spots. We have the Wall of
Yeah.
Champions, things like that.
Yeah.
It is in a very elongated track type, so there are a lot
Yeah.
of straights, a lot of high speed corners. Like we said, this one has like three different chicanes.
Yeah.
Just why not?
Yeah.
And two complete 180 turns
Yeah.
at either end of the track, where we saw that came into play quite a bit today,
Yeah.
specifically in the
The
Grand Prix.
sprint and the quali.
Yeah,
Or
and like I
in the
said,
race, sorry.
because we have a quick track and terrible temperatures, that's going to make for an interesting weekend.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So the sprint we have, we're not going to go through all of the qualifying because there's a lot to cover. But
The big
basically,
thing,
yeah. Oh, go ahead.
it was like Martin Brundle said, it was a bit of a Noah's Ark when it came to quality. So we had the two Mercedes,
Yeah.
the two McLarens, the two Ferraris,
Ferraris.
the two Red Bulls. Then we had Arvid Lindblad and Carlos Sainz. Then we had the two Audis, and then a little bit of a mix on down the line for the
Yeah.
rest of them. But
Which
basically,
the
George Russell,
Audis, good for them.
11 and 12. I mean, David
For
Crofty called that one.
yeah, but I mean
Called 11 for yeah.
for a new team to be,
Wow.
or I shouldn't say new
I
team.
don't I don't want to give them too much credit. And now I do like the Audis, and I do like Hulk, and I do like Bortoleto. But they are beating out the two Aston Martins, who have who've been shit and brought no upgrades throughout the
Yeah,
first five races. And then the two Cadillacs, who have been terrible most of the time, I think, other than regular qualifying this weekend.
yeah,
And then Pierre Gasly, who was out of his norm for him. I think their biggest achievement this weekend was beating the Haas this weekend, who were 14 to
yeah.
15.
I mean, just I'm going back to like that being the stake, which was
Yes.
consistently at the bottom.
But they
We
started off
switch
very
over
well.
to yeah, we switch over to but I mean, I think this is the highest that we've seen them both at the same time. Like together.
Same time, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. You're right.
We
Yeah.
might see Hulk in, we
Hulk
might
has
see
been
Bortoletto.
consistently in that
Yeah.
11 to 15 into
Yeah.
Q2 or SQ2 or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, for
Fairly
them
consistently.
to be they seem to have both cars in the back end of the middle middle group. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so we've got
George taking
George
pole.
Russell takes pole. Um,
Who won the last two Canadian Grand Prix? Is it two?
I think
I
he
believe it was
just
two.
won last year. I
Or he
don't.
took pole in the last two.
Yeah,
It was
and
pole in the
then
last two, yes,
yeah,
and one last one, yes.
yeah. Um, but we kind of see this coming this year, right? It is a fight between the Mercedes, both of them. I mean, so far it's only been Mercedes drivers that have won. um, I think Lando got one pole in Miami,
Yeah. The end
but
of SQ, was it SQ2 or Q2? I can't remember what it was. Somehow, Hadjar put himself into provisional
yeah,
pole
yeah,
in one of
yeah,
those two.
yeah,
Inconsequential because it doesn't make a
yeah.
difference,
And
but
I mean, it was there was still so much time on the clock when they said, "Oh, he's on provisional pole," and I was like, he is not keeping that pole
yeah, it was.
position.
I think it was regular qualifying this weekend, but
Yeah,
either
and it
way,
was
yeah,
like there was still like 3 minutes
not
left
a
or something.
chance.
I
Yeah.
was like, there's no way. And like Max hadn't run,
Although, yeah, but
the
although
Ferraris hadn't run.
one thing I've noticed is, and it's something I took note of this weekend is, especially in qualifying, Max finally has a teammate that not necessarily is going to beat him because I think there's only been one or two times that he's actually beat him in a qualifying, but he's consistently pushing him. I mean, he's
Hmm.
there.
Yeah,
He's figured something out in this car. He's figured something out in this car that's helped him to place himself as a decent Red Bull teammate as long as he is not fucking himself over in the race, which we see
yeah,
today. But
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But what's
but it's there. But
interesting,
it's there. He's unlocking it a little bit.
yeah. Although I'm not really becoming a Hajar fan. Every weekend I get further and further away from being a Hajar fan. Anyways, that's besides the point. Let's continue about the sprint.
Yeah, yeah,
So
okay, sure.
we get into the races, um, and we know Kimmy has had trouble with all of his starts. Every single start he has had, um, this season has been pretty difficult start. But he had a not horrible one this time. Um, but it creates a fight between the Mercedes the entire race, pretty much the entire sprint. Um, and they're just going back and forth. They're kind of yelling at each other. Well, Kimmy is yelling on his radio.
We start off in no, correct me. It's lap two or three. If I'm not wrong, it's very
I don't
early.
remember.
It's in turn one, and Kimmy goes for an overtake on George, and George pushes him off track. It's quick. It's kind of hard to see in real time. I thought in real time that they were even going into the apex. And when I see the replay, I'm even more convinced that they were even going to the apex. So there's a specific set of rules for whether you're overtaking on the outside and on the inside. So if you're overtaking on the inside, your front axle has to be up at the front mirror of your opposing driver. If you are overtaking on the outside, both axles essentially have to be in line with each other to give each other equal racing space. There and now Kimmy's right on the radio and saying my tire was up by the mirror. When he's going into the apex and taking over on the outside, he is right alongside axle to axle on George Russell, as
Yeah,
far as I can see.
yeah,
And George Russell very clearly pushes him off the track. Now I get it. I'm nothing against George. George is doing what he's got to do. He's racing. I in this instance, I have absolutely nothing wrong with what George did.
Yeah.
He's racing and he had to do it. If they gave him a penalty for it, which he probably deserved a little bit of a penalty for it, a 5 second or whatever, because they were even going to the apex. I see both. I think I'm more on the side of Kimmy, but I 100% agree with what George did.
Yeah.
But Kimmy had every right to be upset.
Yeah. And I mean, we see a few laps later, similar moves are made. But at this point, I think Kimmy has gotten into his head. Kimmy is
Similar,
in his
but not
own head.
exactly. Yes, they
Yeah.
are angry moves.
Yeah. So he is now just being like, all right, well, if you're going to do that, I'm going to do this.
Well,
Um,
we see him take it into turn. I don't remember exactly what turn it was. It was turn 6 or 7 or something like that, where he takes a head of steam into that turn, and there was no chance he was making that braking zone.
yeah.
It just went straight through,
Yeah.
which
And
very clearly he gets told from Bono, give the place back, but
yeah.
at the same time is complaining that he was pushed off
Yeah.
laps back.
Yeah. So it's getting pretty testy on Antonelli's radio. And shockingly, I mean, I wasn't listening to his radio, and F1 Media is usually, or Liberty Media is usually pretty quick to show a George Russell radio. I don't know if we heard George Russell
We
all
didn't.
weekend.
We
All
didn't. And I'm
weekend.
sure he was on it, but I think more of the focus
Yeah.
for broadcast purposes was on Kimmy.
Yeah.
Um, Now we also get Kimmy is so from that first incident that we talked about. I'm sure. I mean, we only get the pick and choosing of what F1 Medium
Yeah.
decides to show. But the assumption is for me is that these are radios that are picked up lap after lap. So it's probably over the
Yeah.
last like 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah.
And at one point, Toto comes on, and now I have two different translations here from two different sources. Well, one, and the F1 Media displays it as so. Kimmy says, "If we need to race like this, that's good to know." Basically,
Yeah.
like, fuck it, I'm gonna take him out
Yeah.
if I have to take him out. I'm gonna hit him. We're playing bumper cars here, and right away, Toto comes on and says, "Kimmy, now this is where it's different. Now is the fourth time, or now is the worst time." Which I think is very different depending on how you take that. Now is the worst time is more of a, hey, let's not talk about it here on the radio. And he says after this, we'll talk about this internally and not on the radio on both of these. But if he says worst time, it's more of a shut up. We'll talk about it after. Now is the fourth time is like, hey, dad's had to tell you over and over
Yeah.
again. And if you don't, I'm gonna spank you on the bottom when you come back into this paddock.
Well, both of those might be real, because if you remember, when the race is done, Kimmy's on the radio again about, we need to talk about this, and Toto does come on again and said,
Where it was.
oh, okay, you're not talking about the first one.
Or it was near the end of the race where he says that because he's still hot and he's still talking about it.
Yeah.
And at some point, like Bono's had to tell him several times, like, let's just keep your head down and race, and he's still complaining about it.
Yeah.
And he's still going, he's still going, he's still going. And Toto comes on the race because he can obviously hear all the radios, and
Yeah.
he's going. So it's either now is the worst time to air out your grievances,
Yeah.
or now is the fourth time, which to me has very different connotations of how Toto's saying this.
Yeah. I also, and Toto does this quite a bit, I don't like when a team principal gets on the radio. Especially, like,
He gets in there when he needs to, though.
but does he need to?
I think this one he needed to. I absolutely do.
You think
I think
so?
that Kimmy was so hot-headed that Bono was not able to rein him in. I
don't
know,
know.
like we didn't hear everything. We didn't hear everything.
Yeah. No.
I am sure that there was a constant back and forth between Bono and Kimmy,
And Kimmy, yeah.
it was just trying to tone
Yeah.
him down, trying to tone him down, trying to tone him down, and Toto just said, "Look, we've had enough. We'll talk about this after. Shut the fuck up."
Yeah, I mean, we've seen him do it to George as well in the past. When George was
When it's gotten
Lewis,
to too much.
Yeah, I just don't know how I feel about it. Like, I can't imagine, like, Fred Vasseur doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine Christian Horner doing it. Like, some of these...
You're talking about very different situations. Like you're talking about Christian Horner, who is, yeah. I mean, we've seen Toto do it when it's necessary. I think he can see that if he didn't step in, that Kimmy at some point was going to wreck his vehicle because he
Yeah.
was on that path. He was on a warpath at that point,
Yeah. I mean,
and
we've
he was
had
dealing with.
Max
But
absolutely
he's
losing his mind.
yes, but he is. You're talking about a world champion versus an 18, 19-year-old champion, or sorry, championship leading driver who hasn't had the situation yet, who is the quote unquote underdog in the team, who is the still the one with the least amount of experience, the one who actually it feels like he couldn't regulate his emotions at this point. Like
Yeah.
this is
No, I
something like
think
we
he
were
was just
thinking looking
pissed.
at like Lando last year or the last couple of years
Yeah.
where he was inconsolable. You just couldn't he
Yeah.
had no idea where to put all his frustrations. I think it was needed and I think he did calm down after that. And we talked about it today. I think there was a big meeting about like where Toto just set the rules straight. I think in that moment it was just shut up. We'll talk about this after.
Yeah. I mean, we have seen. I can't remember. I don't think it was Miami, but where and I think I said it or one of us said it. Kimmy needs to learn what to say on the radio. Because I think we did see Toto step in at one of those races too when he was talking about the car. He wasn't complaining. He was saying, "Hey, when I turn into this corner, this is
Yeah,
what
yeah,
happens.
yeah.
What do I need to do?" So I can see from that point, but I
I
mean,
I I
uh,
mean, I look at a parent perspective. Like if I see my kids talking to my wife and they're talking to her and they just keep going and keep going and keep berating, or all of a sudden they're becoming a little too disrespectful. It's like, hey, shut the fuck up. We're gonna settle this, and
yeah,
I can see. I to me, I look at it as reining in a young, immature
yeah,
mind. Whereas we're at some point because he has a very good relationship with Bottom. Maybe he feels like he can push that a little more than he
yeah, maybe,
should be at some point. And Toto's
yeah,
just like, okay, this isn't that moment. Like, let's
yeah,
shut the fuck up.
yeah. Well, I just I'm tired of hearing Toto on the. I love Toto, but I don't want to hear a team principal getting into it. Talk to them after, um, but yeah, I guess that's their job. Make sure things are going
I think
the
it
way
was
they should
more
be.
of
But
a he felt he was stepping in when he needed to because there was no other option. That's
yeah,
the way I saw it.
yeah. Well, I mean, all that to say, the Mercedes continue they continue
Yeah.
to
Spent a lot of time on that one.
keep going. Um, I mean the race really is between them, and then we get with Kimmy and his reckless driving, and I wouldn't even say it was super reckless. It was just kind of angry. It was just he was making started making those little mistakes, started going wide, late braking to try and cut George off, which led him to lock up. Um,
One was very reckless. That one
yeah,
big one.
yeah, that he went like totally off
Straight
and
through. Yeah, straight
airborne.
through.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
um, and then, but all that does is it messes up your own race, right? It creates your own drama, which it did because
And lets other
Lando,
people into the race. Yeah.
yeah, Lando, who was just watching the
Yeah.
disaster ahead of him, um, was able to capitalize and said, "Cool, I will
Thank you
take
very
second.
much.
You guys keep fighting. I will take second."
Yeah.
And Kimmy is never able to come back to that.
No.
Um, we also see. You mentioned it quickly, the Wall of Champions, which is it's an ironic name for a wall out of
Uh,
a corner um, on the track.
Turn 14, the
It
last turn before
Yeah.
the hell is
So
the start line, finish line,
it
whatever.
is called that because it is a wall that every single, or not every single, a
Oh, they
lot
called
of
it because
champions.
in 1999, three former champions hit it on the same race
Same
weekend
weekend.
or same
Yeah.
day. Jacques Villeneuve, Michael Schumacher, and why can't I think of the third one?
But
Why
I
can't I
can't
think of the
either.
third one? It was Jacques Villeneuve and Michael Schumacher, and I can't remember the other one for some
Yeah.
reason now because they talked about it all weekend. I saw it like 16 times.
But it's also there's been other
There's been
champions
multiple, yeah, yeah. Like
that
Vettel's hit
like
it, Raikkonen's
Jensen
hit it,
Buttons hit it.
Lewis
Like
Jensen Buttons hit it.
Lewis has
Yeah,
hit it, and
lots
he
of people. Yeah,
hit it again this weekend. So they call it the Wall of Champions because if you have won a championship, chances are you've hit this wall. Some people hit the wall, knocks out their race.
Damon Hill. That was the other one.
Damon Hill.
All in 1999, the same race in
If
1999. Yeah.
if you're lucky enough, you just tap the wall, and you can continue, which is what happened with Lewis. He did
He
lose
more
some
than tapped
time.
it though. Like
Yeah,
just like they said he tapped it, and then you saw the replay from the back camera, and it was a thud.
yeah,
It wasn't just a tap. Luckily, he
yeah.
didn't break anything.
He does hit the wall, but he does lose a little bit of timing in his car.
Yeah.
But it was towards the I wouldn't. I mean, it was only 23 laps, but it doesn't ruin his race by any means. It's not like he was in the lead or
It's
anything.
enough for
But
Charles to get through, wasn't
yeah,
it? Yes.
yeah. But Charles wasn't that far because, as we saw in this sprint, the top seven could not get rid of each other,
No.
which is that we top eight get
It,
points.
it was the closest we've seen seven, and I mentioned this to you,
Yeah,
the closest we've seen seven drivers. I think they were all within, at least for at least for half of it, if not the
yeah,
whole thing, within 6 or 7 seconds of each other.
yeah.
It
It
was not a
was
lot.
no, like everybody had some sort of DRS or it's not called DRS overtake, um, boost. Like they could not get rid of each other. And again, I don't know if it's because it's a cooler track. George, who was out in front, wasn't getting his tires warm. Like his front tires weren't being able to stay warm. They were all on softs, and I mean, Saturday was the better of the days this weekend.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, just
Top seven
interesting.
finished almost 16 seconds apart, but they, for the better part of 12-ish, maybe more, 15 laps, they
Yeah,
were all within a close margin. And
yeah,
even still, like that's the top three were within less than 2 seconds, and then the 4 to 7 was within 5-ish seconds
yeah,
of each other. So
yeah. But they all stuck very, very close to each other.
yeah,
Which is just crazy to see. Like it was just continued this line, which you usually would see that from like,
not expecting
12.
Max to be part of that,
Yeah.
and he was right there. Yeah,
He was right in it. Um, but yeah, so then the sprint ends. Russell takes the win, and Lando takes second, and Kimmy gets his.
a very short, cordial
Yeah.
handshake between Kimmy and George. No, neither of them were happy.
Yeah, Kimmy was keeping his head down. But
There
George
was no
initiated.
interaction. There was no
Yeah,
interaction other than when they just had to be beside each other.
yeah, and George, he sought out Kimmy. Kimmy was not planning to talk to George.
No.
But that's fine. So they had their conversations later on. We had qualifying for the actual race, which we see George again. George
Which again,
gets,
Kimmy putting
um,
himself one almost less than 1/100 of a second, a tenth of a
yeah,
second, excuse me, behind George.
yeah. I mean,
Again, the two
this
McLarens.
is where we see that we want to call it the Noah's Ark again for the first
Kind
six,
of,
I think.
almost a little bit, but no, not even, because it's the two McLarens, the two Mercedes, the two McLarens, Lewis, the two Red Bulls, and then Charles, and then
Yeah,
Arvid and Franco, and then Nico again in 11th, Liam, and then Bortoletto, Pierre, and then I'll further
yeah.
down
Everybody else.
with the ones that matter.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
one thing that was, I mean, other than regular qualifying, because they weren't that far apart, Albon and Sainz. Sainz seems to be getting more out of that Williams than Albon has, at least in the last 3 races.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And
don't know what it
like
is.
you
Like,
said,
we're
they
not
haven't.
seeing anything from Albon.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, they're usually not too far apart, but you
Hmm.
can definitely see when Signs turns that car on. There's a
And he's
little bit
consistently
something
getting
else.
out of at least the Q1s or
Yeah.
SQ1s.
Yeah,
Whereas,
for sure.
yeah, Albon's not finding that at all.
Yeah.
Well, rarely.
Yeah. So, I mean, at one point during this is when we get that Hajar on provisional pole. Um,
Q2, yeah.
yeah. One the only one that I thought was interesting was Max. When Max got his provisional pole moment in Q3, um, I just kind of thought, I didn't think he was going to keep it by any means, but I was like, this is kind of the first time we've seen him be on provisional pole where, not everybody's run yet. But this was one where a lot of people had put some times up, and I was like, okay, he's
Well,
gotten the car to turn on a little bit here.
no, I don't know if you remember, but Crofty had thought that after Max had gotten pole, that was the end of it. There was still 2.5 minutes
Yeah.
left in qualifying, and he said, "This is your order." I'm like, they can make it to the line
Yeah.
before
It's a short
two and a
track.
half minutes. It's a minute and 40, minute 30 to minute 45 to get back around track,
Yeah.
and every single one of them in the 10 ran again.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you calling this now?
Yeah.
And I love Crofty, but I'm like, this is way too early. There's no
Yeah.
way that they're just going to be settled with this.
No. And like I said, I was like, good for Max because he's been struggling with this car, but I was like, there's no way this is going to stick. That he's going to be.
No,
We haven't seen him, 3 minutes
like
left, 4 minutes left, put up a provisional pole time. We haven't seen him do that at all this season.
just for
So,
reference, Hajar's Q2 provisional pole was a 1:12.975. His Q3 time was a 1:12.935. Max's provisional pole was a 1:12.907.
yeah.
And there's a ton of faster cars
Yeah.
ready to go.
Yeah.
There's no way that he's making it with just by beating his teammate by 7/100ths of a second.
Yeah. Not happening. Um,
Which, I mean, somebody obliterated it by 4/10ths of a second, which is
yeah.
quite almost half a second more.
Yeah.
Somebody, George.
But yeah, so George takes pole, Kimmy in second, Lando third, yeah, Lando third,
Yep.
Oscar fourth, um,
Lewis,
Lewis, and Max.
Max, Hajar, Charles. Yeah.
Yeah. So we go into a rainy Sunday afternoon or rainy Sunday morning.
Sunday morning. F2 raced in the rain.
Yeah.
They have an F1 race, didn't they? F1 Academy, didn't they? Or was that yesterday? Either way, F2 race this morning. I saw that a
Yeah.
little bit of that. But they raced in the rain, and it was still a not wet track. It was a almost damp track.
Yeah.
Enough that enough teams went out in the reconnaissance lap in Inters.
Enters 8 teams did it.
8 teams, excuse me. Sorry.
Or eight, sorry.
Eight, I think it was eight
drivers.
cars. Eight
Yeah.
cars, yes.
Eight
in total.
cars had enters on.
Yeah. Two of those being the
Two
McLarens.
being McLarens. Both
Mhm.
McLarens went out in with the enters on. Which there was radar for possible rain. They didn't know there were some wet spots on the track still. They didn't know how wet they might be. I think when Oscar went around, he did say, yeah, we might not have these on for long. But
He did, but he very quickly changed his tune.
yeah. So, but by the time they've done that lap, they get onto the track, get out, do whatever they need to do, and then get ready for the race.
Then they have to go through formation laps.
Then they go through the formation laps, and
And
that
then
is
formation
when,
lap.
and that is
And then
when I
formation
think
lap.
Oscar realizes these are the wrong tires.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're looking, and I'm pretty sure when I looked at the the tracker that they have on the left side there, there is not one of the teams in the top 10 that is on inters. The only other ones that are on inters, other than the McLarens in the top or in the whole grid, are near-ish below the top 10.
Yeah.
Well, everybody else is on either a medium or a soft.
Yeah.
And they go through their regular formation lap. And very quickly, both McLarens are saying that this is the wrong tire.
Yeah.
Fine, no problem. They go through the pre-start procedure and then the race lights. And then all of a sudden the race lights are not coming off to send people. And you can see that everybody's revs are now starting to drop.
Yeah.
Because it's been way too long.
Yeah.
And then they very slowly get away because we're getting another formation lap because Arvid Lindblad is in his, wherever he is, 8th or 9th or 10th or whatever it is, waving his arms because his car won't either change gears or turn on.
Yeah, it wouldn't get into gear.
Yeah, and so they had to push his car all the way back. And they still were pushing his car all the way back as more cars had finished their second formation lap.
Yeah.
And since it hadn't finished clearing the track, they sent everybody again on a third formation lap. So now our 70-lap Canadian Grand Prix turns into a 60-lap Canadian Grand Prix. And Oscar and Lando are still questioning their tire choice.
Yeah.
Which they still had the opportunity to come in.
Yeah.
They would have started behind Lance Stroll, who was starting the pit lane.
Yeah.
Woohoo for your Canadian Grand Prix, Lance.
Yeah.
But they could have switched tires.
Yeah.
And just started at the back of the grid.
And Oscar's very adamant about it. Oscar's like, I think we should be coming in. Like, I will start in the pit lane. Bring me in.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Lando is expressing concern, but Oscar's like, this is like, I don't know what we're doing. This is ridiculous. We don't need this. It's gonna be useless. And he's saying, if I come in, and I guess his engineer was arguing everybody's tires are cold, and he's like, but if I come in and get softs, which is what everybody else was on,
under the blankets,
which has been under the blankets, mine will be warm, which
Yeah.
is a valid statement. He's saying
sure,
that his tires will be warmer than the 3 formation laps that these guys have done. So let me put them on.
I don't understand McLaren's decision there.
Hesitancy.
Okay, everybody else's tires are gonna be cold. So are my inters.
Yeah.
And there's no rain coming.
Yeah.
So I'm still gonna come in and go back onto the tires.
Yeah.
That are now still warm. So we're just gonna delay everything by 2-3 laps.
Yeah.
At the most, maybe 4 laps, maybe 5 laps.
Yeah.
Which didn't happen. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. You were
Yeah.
going to switch for warmer tires later on that aren't going to help you now when you can just switch for them now and be on the tire.
Yeah.
It just sounds like a Ferrari strategy.
Yeah. It didn't make sense. So to everybody's shock though, the lights go on, the lights go off, and Lando has the most insane start. Lando on his enters.
Do you think that because Oscar started 4th?
Yeah.
And dropped to 6th?
Yeah.
5th or 6th? He dropped a place or 2.
Yeah.
Do you think that his engineers are like, told you, when Lando starts to get away?
No, I don't think so, because I think what it was, which we, when you watch they probably wanted to. When you watch the replay though, George leaves such an opening. He doesn't get a good start, and he leaves such an open. He's so focused on Kimi.
Pincered between the two coming on either side.
Yeah, but
Kimi gets a great start.
He wasn't focused on anybody behind him. The only person he was focused on was Kimi.
But Kimi gets a great start, but Lando gets the best start.
Yeah.
Out of anybody.
I think he just saw George turning the one way and was like, cool, I'll go this way. And he just goes on the outside, completely knocks George out of the way.
Almost gets overtaken by the Ferraris as well. That's how bad his start was.
Yeah.
By Lewis.
Very slow. Yeah. And I think it was said that his revs weren't all the way. By the time the lights went off, his revs had started to decrease as well.
Yeah.
So, and then, I mean, the McLarens, almost instantly, we start seeing fantastic racing. I mean, it was Lando. Um, Lando had great racing until he had to go in to switch out his inter tires because the car was the
Lap one.
tires like he needed to get rid of them.
No, he didn't. Piastri came lap one.
Piastri won it, and yeah, lap
Piastri
one.
lap one, and Lando came in lap two.
Yeah,
Strategy out the window.
yeah. So quickly, it's right back to George and Kimmy fighting up front. Piastri goes in to get his tires, and
Sorry,
oh
can I just stop you for a second?
yeah,
The only ones on inters, and I will show you by their pit stops. Oscar, Lando, because they stopped lap one and two, also stopping on lap two and three, and then one on nine, which I'm assuming was still on inters anyways. Nico, Gabriel Bortoleto, Carlos Sainz, Sergio Perez, Valtteri Bottas on three, and Valtteri Bottas came in again in nine, so I'm assuming he changed out of his inters on three. These other teams were the only other ones on inters, and you thought that inters were still the right idea.
yeah, and
Something is wrong.
and even
Some-
doing it for both of them,
yeah,
like let's try one.
something is
Yeah,
seriously wrong.
yeah. So
Anyways,
Piastri
it
gets
just
his
upset me when I saw it.
tires. Piastri gets his tires. Lando gets his tires. Uh, Piastri comes out, does a couple of laps, but again, because they've had to stop so early, they're getting dropped right to the back of the pack. Their races are
Almost a lap
horrendous.
down by the beginning.
Yeah, because I don't even know how it all happened, but very quickly the top 10 are ahead by like 30 or 20 something seconds. Um
I
top
think
7
we
or
had
something
our
like that
first lapped racer
by
by
lap
lap
10.
10
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
68,
Yeah.
which was
Crazy.
Bottas, but still,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
lap
Insane.
10. And there wasn't even a safety car.
No. And so Piastri comes out. He's trying to make a move with people he's not usually around. He's around the Albon, the Bierman group. Um, and he goes to make a pass on the inside, which it did appear there was some room at some point. And very quickly that room goes away, and he finds room and a hole in the side of Alex Albon's car and just totally T-bones Albon, puts a hole in Albon's car. Albon's out. Um,
See the
and
10-second time penalty for that.
which he does get a 10-second time penalty.
Yeah.
I mean, there was nothing anybody could argue with that. He drove right into the side of somebody, which ruins his race because he had to go in for another pit stop. I think they were looking for stuff in his. I don't think they changed the front wing, but they were like looking at the front wing. So it was
You're thinking of they were looking because of damage. They
yeah,
changed something. The other one you're thinking about Lando, where they were looking for things in
Yeah.
his radiator.
because Lando
Comes in
gets his
again.
tires and decides to mow the grass. He goes right over the grass.
Reliability issues in lap, I want to say 15-ish.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
around that.
And he
I
ends
can
up
find it
having
for
to
you.
he ends up having to retire.
Lap 15. Yeah. Later on lap,
Yeah.
whatever. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. But yeah, he ends up it's just a bad day for McLaren. And I
38, lap 38.
I will say that Oscar's argument will still stand. We should have never been on these tires
Yes.
because these tires put us in a scenario where we had to be fighting through the pack, which we are a way faster car. We do not need to be fighting through the pack. He can make moves in his car that some of these cars aren't able to make. McLaren put him into traffic.
You, I don't disagree with that. I think they compromised his race. Yes, he would have still
For
started
both
from
of
the back.
them. Yeah.
I'm looking at the lapped drivers. Now we had 6 DNFs. We'll get into or DNFs or DNSs. We'll talk about who those were. Well, DNS was Arvid, obviously. With 5 other DNFs. We had 2 drivers who were lapped 4 times. And 4 drivers who were lapped 2 times. One of those was Oscar Piastri.
Yeah.
We had lapped racers up until 5th place.
Mm-hmm.
Oscar had been lapped twice in 11th. Don't know, like, unless he just gave up completely. Like, he was 1 place away from points and
Yeah.
was still lapped twice. That was absolutely ridiculous. And it wasn't even, we didn't have a full safety car. We had 2
No.
virtual safety cars. It is a fast track. I, I don't know. Yes, it was a bad strategy call, but a bad strategy call where you're going to switch your lap or switch your tires in one. You shouldn't be in one of the top 4 cars. You shouldn't be lapped twice.
No.
There is absolutely no world where you are arguably the second fastest, maybe third fastest, whatever. You're within let's call it a 15-second time gap. Whatever. Let's call it a 30-second time gap. Who cares? You should not be lapped in race pace where you're going at a minute 15-ish, a minute 14, maybe a minute in the 113s, where you're being lapped by a full 3 minutes, say.
Yes.
Like, you
However,
gave up. You gave up
He did serve a 10-second penalty, but
for
remember,
fucking up because he was,
right?
yes, he was trying to fight through the pack, but it was an unnecessary,
Yeah. Oh
it
no,
was an
absolutely.
unnecessary move. Like, it was 100% his fault.
Yeah. It
And
was
10 seconds is not another 60.
what I want to even maybe go and see is where we got that gap of, I think it was Leclerc to Colapinto, which was a
Like 19, 20.
35 was a 35
Oh,
second
35.
gap.
Yeah.
So where, like, was Colapinto just holding up everybody? Like, I just don't know how we got there pretty, like,
Pretty early because it was a
half
quick, like,
distance.
yeah,
Not
no,
even half distance.
those first 5 drew away from the pack pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And
And
I remember
Colapinto had a
seeing,
good
like, it
race,
was,
but
yeah, he had a good race. He finished 6th,
yeah.
and still lapped once, and he was way behind Isaac Hadjar. And at some point, or actually behind Leclerc for a while because Leclerc passed Hadjar. But at some point he was 19-ish seconds
Yeah.
from, no, sorry. He was 19 seconds behind Hadjar because Hadjar had a 10-second time penalty
Yeah.
and it didn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
He could serve it and he'd be fine. And then it ended up being 30 seconds and then 45 seconds. It just, I don't know. We talked about this during the race. And I think we were so enamored by the fights that were going on in the top 5,
Yeah.
top 6 at that point, because one of them was still in the race. But you had still had Russell, Antonelli, you had Lewis and Max, you had Charles and Isaac. Those fights were amazing.
Yeah.
That we didn't realize that everything else below that was so boring. The only thing that we gave a shit about the back markers were they going to pass them in time before the turn or a turn that it was going to ruin somebody else's opportunity to pass.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all I cared about. And
Yeah.
I couldn't tell which McLaren was which at some point.
Yeah. And that's like, I would like to actually rewatch and see, did something happen in the midfield that,
Because we didn't hear anything about Colapinto.
no,
I think
that's
everybody
where I'm
just pulled
like,
away and everybody was just resigned to, like, okay, I'm in points. I'm just going to worry about the person behind me.
yeah, because it was so bizarre. So then I can see how Piastri gets lapped once. I don't see how where did the second one? I can see because of the 10-second
So
penalty.
the first
But
one is because he yes, the 10-second penalty is where he got lapped the second time because he had
Because
already
of when he
stopped.
gets it.
He had
Yeah.
already stopped to stop for his
Yeah.
tires, and then when he came to serve in the 10-second penalty, that's where you see him come out just ahead of the battle of the two Mercedes, and
Yeah.
then eventually they catch up, and he's got to let them pass.
Yeah. Fair.
That's where that
Okay.
happens. I remember
Yeah.
that completely because I was like, "Is this going to come into play?" But no, because he's a blue flag, and they've
Yeah.
got to let blue flags go. Whatever. That's another thing for another day.
Yeah.
But other than what we've already talked about, but yeah, it's I get that point just because you had to serve that penalty, but yeah, it was, and then once we see, might as well just talk about it.
Yeah.
So we have a constant battle, and we have specifically three battles. We have the two Mercedes battling, and they are switching, and it almost seems like they are going to touch. And I said to you that it feels like they had to have had a talk, and Toto must have set out consequences because it's
Mm-hmm.
10 years. It's 10
Mm-hmm.
years now since he had the Nico and Lewis, almost
Yeah.
11 years now, battle in 2016
Yeah.
where he had had enough of this bullshit of them
Yeah.
fighting and touching and unnecessary damages. So he must have nipped it in the bud right away and said, "Listen, you touched yesterday, fine, whatever. We're gonna end it now." He probably set out consequences for this, whether it was race bans or payments or whatever it was gonna be.
Yeah.
You touch again, you're done, whatever. Where they were close, they were very, very close, and you can see the frustration starting to build up in Kimmy again. Although he held his cool a little bit, and they kind of just
Yeah.
kept things going back and forth, and it was just good racing.
Very
There
good
wasn't
racing.
anything very untoward. There was a little bit of, you know, pushing off track, but everybody seemed to have clear race position.
Yeah.
There was nothing very sketchy about it. And eventually, George Toto turns off George's car. Um, and no, he didn't. George's car shuts off. It's just very funny that maybe Toto decided to. And he's out of the race very quickly out of the race.
Yeah.
Sucks for
So
George,
yeah.
especially because it's not that there, you either have 25 points or 18 points, and it's a 7 point differential either way. Now
Yeah.
George has absolutely nothing, and Kimmy's up by 43
40,
now, 40,
46.
46,
Yeah.
46 points now instead of a much
Yeah.
closer gap. Which is the one thing in an interview George said would be the worst scenario is getting 0 points this weekend.
Yeah. Yep.
Which I meant to make a tinfoil hat for this episode,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well,
So
I
and
just
that yeah, sorry.
no,
Go
I
ahead.
just thought it was the timing of George's power unit failing on him, which is it was a power unit failure right
Oh
on
yeah, yeah,
track.
yeah. Just
Was that right before that Kimmy had been making again some of those risky moves and getting very close, like you said. He actually locked up so bad he almost took them both out.
yeah,
Um,
which I was
and
so hoping for.
yeah,
Just
Bono actually comes on the radio and said, "We need to keep this racing neat and tidy. If you
because we
guys
have a
don't,
plan that we're just gonna shut off George. You just gotta make it to a certain point, and we will shut off George.
well, I'm reading the quote.
Oh,
You
oh
don't
yeah,
listen
sorry,
to
sorry.
what he
I
said.
thought that was the quote. Yeah, I
No,
thought that
no,
was the quote. Okay.
just so we don't get in trouble. That is not what Bono said.
Okay.
So, need to keep this racing neat. If you
Yeah.
don't, we will. So there's the threat again. Like, if you guys don't stop this, we are going to stop this.
The tinfoil hat was George threatening to do something, and they just said,
Yeah.
meh, kill switch.
Yeah.
Kill
So,
switch engage.
but yeah, and then what, a lap or two later, George's car legit just turns off. Which he's frustrated, and I get that. This
Yeah,
was
and I don't know if
probably
you've seen
the most fun, or not fun,
Yeah.
good racing he's
Between
had
the two.
against his team. Hardest racing, and he immediately takes off his steering wheel, throws his headrest onto the track. Doesn't go onto the racing line, but he could throw it onto the grass. He could throw it to his left.
He throws it he tosses
front of
it
the
in
car.
front of his car, which could have potential safety
Yeah.
implications.
Yeah.
Which I mean, you never see Woody when everybody's watching do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm talking Toy Story reference.
Yeah.
Um, you
Got it.
usually just okay. Come on, come on. It's I know it wasn't my best delivery, but um, yeah, he just looked, and I get it. It's frustrating,
Hmm.
but not. He throws the headrest. He gets out of the car. He slams the car. He gets it out of the through the little
Gates. The
doorway,
whole, yeah.
little trap door,
Yeah.
and then takes off his gloves and throws them down. The gloves didn't
Yeah.
deserve that.
Yeah.
Just an over exuberant kind of show of emotion, which we never usually see from George unless he's
Yeah.
crying after his first win.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a little much.
Yeah, it was
It's not like it's your fault or somebody else's fault.
considering it was a power unit failure. Kimmy didn't take you out. And again, he may have been having a good time doing this and he wanted the win to come that way.
Yeah.
But I it was a lot. It was a lot. So much so that he was noted for throwing the headrest on track. And I mean, George is also the first person, if there is debris on track, if there is something dangerous, he is the first person on the radio to complain about this,
So
whatever it is.
I do have his penalty.
Yeah. Okay. Which I haven't.
€5,000 suspended for 12 months. So
So nothing.
if he nothing, absolutely nothing. If he does it again. So I'm assuming this is one of these bullshit HR kind of things, like, oh, we have to get you for the same infraction twice.
Yeah.
Before we can do anything. So
Yeah.
if he throws something on track again or maybe creates a safety issue
Yeah.
intentionally,
I guess depends
then
the.
he will get a $5,000 euro fine. Let's fuck all.
I'd be like, I'll pay it
Now,
now.
listen, I get it. If he was going to like a grid place penalty next race, a little excessive.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're saying he did something unsafe, then give him the fucking penalty.
Yeah.
5,000 suspended for 12 months. Okay, who gives a shit? Nothing's gonna
Yeah.
happen. That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's just showing that's the FIA saying, hey, we're trying to do something.
Yeah. No, it's either the penalty there or it's not, because I mean, what's this
Do it
doing?
all. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So nothing
um,
happened. That's just fine. Whatever. It
yeah.
was of no consequence, anyways, when he threw
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it just could have gone wrong.
it could have absolutely could
Um,
have.
yeah. So, I mean, once we lose George, Kimmy's on his own. I mean, that moves Max up into second, Lewis into third.
I don't know that I have seen such an exciting race go to such a boring race so quickly in however many years I've been watching F1.
I didn't think it became boring. I just
It's
thought
absolute
it.
1,000% until lap 66, 66, 65, 64 maybe. Um, was some of the most uneventful crap I've seen in a long time.
I don't think I found it boring because we knew Lewis was going to catch Max. We
That's
knew
what I was waiting for. But
we
that's what I mean.
knew Max wasn't going to catch um Kimmy, but we knew Lewis was going to catch him. But I was kind of on not the edge of my seat, but I was kind of like, so many cars at this point have engine failures, gearbox issues.
Not
Things are just
even
falling
George.
apart on these
I
cars.
I think you forget how early George. And I'm just looking at it now because I thought it was later. Lap 29.
Yeah, I know.
Because then we only had two other DNFs. We only had Fernando and Albon who were left. But Lando came left later, which was 38.
Yeah.
Sergio Perez DNF'd later, which was 39. From 29 till about 60. Let's say 60. Let's be generous here. Nothing happened.
Well,
Absolutely
we had the
nothing.
Hadjar stuff.
Okay,
We
Hadjar
had
received a 10-second penalty for moving twice to block off an opponent. He, instead of picking one lane, he went once and then he moved twice. He did it 2 laps in a row. against
Yeah.
Leclerc, received a 10-second time penalty, which was inconsequential because he was already 30 seconds ahead of
Yeah.
Colapinto. It was, I mean, yes, that was close, and absolutely boneheaded by Hadjar because he knows the rules. He's not
Yeah.
a stupid person.
Yeah.
And he's fighting for nothing. So I don't know. It's not like I don't think Leclerc would have caught Max. Leclerc
No.
finished 30 seconds behind Max. So
No.
it was really a useless unless you're looking for it's a 2 point difference.
Yeah.
If you're caught, you're caught on a faster car. What are you gonna do?
At one point, Leclerc was 11 seconds, and that was when Max was still in second, and he was no longer even worried about Lewis. He was like, "Where's Leclerc?"
Oh, Leclerc.
Um, because he was like, I think at that point he even knew Lewis is going to get past me, so I need to
Yeah,
worry about who's behind Lewis so I can keep
yeah.
this third position. Um, But
Other than
then
that,
we see
nothing.
Norris gets out on with the gearbox issues. But again, that's why
38.
I
Yeah,
was like, there's been a few cars that have been out because of like Lindblad was stuck and couldn't get out of gear.
yeah.
Um,
I mean,
the, the gearbox, the power units. That's why I was like, whose car is
I
gonna
was
turn off next?
I was waiting for a full safety car. Now, Canada is typically a race where you will see a full safety car. And I thought that would have brought Max into play with Kimi, Lewis into play with Max, and I thought everybody
Yeah,
would have bunched up and it would have made for an interesting few laps or whatever it was. Not that I would think that anything would have changed, really. I think there might have been one or two position swaps, but it would have made it a little more interesting. But after George left, everything really settled and everybody was just kind of moving along. I knew Lewis was going to catch Max. And I
yeah,
knew, actually, I said to you that I felt like we might have seen it in more of a pit stop swap, but it happened earlier than that.
yeah,
Um, which was actually a really great overtake by Lewis. I'm not going to try and diminish that by any means.
yeah,
It was actually a really nice move.
yeah.
And Max defended, not like he was trying to maim him or anything, but he defended
Well, he had to defend for a few laps
and then
before
came yeah, and
Lewis
then came
actually
back
got
at
him.
him for the next couple
Yeah.
laps. So
Yeah, so I mean, it created great racing once they got to each other, but I mean, and they kept saying it too. Martin Brundle kept saying, you know, catching and passing are two different things, and they were saying Max was doing, and we did see the double moving that Hadjar was doing and got a penalty for, but we saw Max do it in a way that you're allowed to get away with it.
so he and that's what I noticed about the difference. So you see, and specifically where Isaac did it, and it was very obvious. Like there was like into a chicane or a right hand turn, and he moves over to the left to cover off, but then moves back to the inside to cover off the inside. Whereas if he had just moved inside to the right to begin with, he could have moved back out to the racing line to take the actual racing line, which is what
Right.
Max did. Like you
Yeah.
take the inside cover, then you move back to the racing line. As long as you're noticeably ahead by a little bit, you have that space and you leave racing space. You can move back to the racing line. So you can still double move as long as it is a logical place to move back.
And it also needs to be in the braking. You can't just be weaving
Exactly.
down the straight.
Which
Like
no,
it
exactly.
has to be in
Which
the braking zone as well.
which made
So
Hadjar's look even more bonehead because, like I
yeah,
said, he's not a stupid person.
no,
I mean, he's the son of an astrophysicist.
yeah,
He's not
yeah,
stupid. He understands it, and he just seemed so out of his depth in this race a little bit.
yeah,
For whatever reason, I don't. Maybe it's who knows. But
yeah.
either way, like you don't. It's an un. It's just not a typical mistake that you see from him.
And he did it twice
He did it
in a row.
twice. Yeah, he did it twice. He seemed extremely flustered
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
by
by
Leclerc this race.
Leclerc.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, then we get through to the end. Lewis does get Max, like you said, with a great overtake. Crowd went insane for that.
They're all big in his face. He said "Merci beaucoup," so they went nuts.
Yeah. And then we kind of go through till the end,
In the
and
end, Kimmy,
Kimmy wins. Lewis
pretty
gets second. Max gets third.
comfortably-ish by 10
10
seconds.
seconds. Yeah.
Almost 11, yeah.
10 seconds.
Kimi
Um,
becomes the first driver in F1 history to win his first career wins consecutively. So he
yeah.
breaks that record of the three consecutive ones by Schumacher, Senna, and
Prost? No, wasn't
oh,
Prost.
it wasn't Prost. I think it was Hill as well, wasn't it?
Could have been.
Somebody else. Either way, whatever. But also every driver who has achieved four race victories in a row consecutively has won the F1 World Championship.
Ah,
That is another fact. Who are those other four drivers? No idea. Um, Also, the only drivers not lapped by Kimi Antonelli in the Grand Prix: Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc.
so the top four.
Yep, 18 drivers. Nope,
No.
17 because Arva didn't start. Technically,
Yeah.
he was lapped, I guess you could say, but
Yeah.
it just seems unfair at this point.
Stroll got 15th from pit lane. Pretty good,
Pretty good, pretty good.
considering
He had a
six cars were out.
you know what? That is, he had a shit weekend. I feel
Yeah.
for him. His
Yeah,
helmet
he
looked
did.
amazing this week.
Yeah.
Um, his interviews were just as bad. Uh,
Always,
I
though.
saw him on the grid walk, and it was just terrible. He was just like, I don't
Poor
want to
guy.
be here. Like, I just like stop. Like, it's gonna slip. It's
Yeah.
gonna be terrible out there. So
Yeah.
leave me alone. Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah.
good for him. Not 22.
Yeah. And yeah, that was the
That's it.
race. Do we have, we kind of touched on some of the news already, the penalties.
Yeah, I don't know if we have to go through. I had some stuff. There was a no. You know what? I don't have to go through any of it. It's fine. We talked about the grid walk, but I don't need to talk about it because I don't need
Yeah.
to deal in the drama. Let's go fresh set and dirty air.
I'll go first because I know you've got like a fun one, but and I know they're not going to be the
Yeah,
same.
a fun
But
one.
okay.
Let's start with dirty air.
I
Let's start with dirty
we're
air.
starting with dirty air. Okay,
Yeah,
mine's a
let's
bit
start
of a
with dirty air.
rant. It's a
Okay,
rant
rant. Might as
opinion.
well.
It's
We're an hour in. Go ahead.
yeah, it's an opinion rant situation.
Isn't that
And it's
everything we
funny.
do here?
I called my. I always call my dad after a race to talk about it, give him the updates. And I did say to him back when he was watching and all that in the 70s, 80s. What I find interesting is the fighting between Kimmy and Russell. Okay, same team. We saw it with Nico and Lewis at that time. If you're on the same team, the team is not going to call into the FIA and be like, "Hey, driver one drove into driver two,
I know where you're going with this. Okay.
whatever."
Yeah, yeah.
However,
Mhm.
this goes back to our complaints of since we started this with the FIA. If something is illegal, it should be illegal, regardless if somebody complains or not. So, what I was asking my dad was that ever a thing? And he said, no. He said he sees where I'm coming from because if we're going to stick to rules and give penalties, if somebody is driving recklessly, even if it's to his own teammate,
Yep.
because as soon as they're driving recklessly and they hit Lando or Lando gets caught up in the middle of all of this, all of a sudden it's a penalty. Mercedes has a fine, whatever. But if we're driving recklessly and dangerously, why are we not giving penalties? And then today, sorry, and then
Yeah, let's
today
get go.
we actually saw that it actually didn't have no further investigation, but it did come up. The FIA did note Kimmy and George for they didn't say for exactly what, but
They noted them,
that there
but
was
we also
something.
saw the radios,
Yeah.
which Kimmy said that should be a penalty,
Yeah.
and there were a bunch of comments about that.
Yeah.
Now,
So that's my rant about it.
I no, and I agree and with you and your father. So, I mean, we've seen it traditionally, not just with Nico and Lewis. You see it with everybody. It was Senna and Prost. There's been bickering and fights between teammates all throughout F1. I think that's just the
Yeah,
nature of F1. You see it with
it's your
with Mark
biggest
Webber and Vettel. It's just like
your biggest rival.
yeah, that's your biggest rival as a teammate.
Yeah,
Um, I agree that a penalty should be a penalty. I also agree that teams should be able to deal with this internally. Now, if it doesn't become a safety issue, no, it is always a safety issue.
yeah,
If it doesn't, if it doesn't result in a safety issue where one person is being run off track and they're hitting a barrier or they're creating a safety issue for other drivers, if it is an incident that happened, I don't mind the teams taking care of it as long as a team can prove that they dealt with
took
it
care of it. Yeah,
within the team. Yeah, I
yeah,
don't mind that, and so I don't know if that's the process that's going on.
yeah,
I doubt it is. I doubt the FIA is going to Mercedes and saying, "Where's your corrective actions? Let me see
yeah,
what you did."
yeah,
Um, um, uh, I get both points of view.
yeah,
I think you're right, and but there's also a an honor system within teams as well, kind of where that's being dealt with.
yeah. Well, and I mean,
Yeah, I mean, I can't fault either of you. You're both right.
well, and I also see like, well, if they collide, it's their own problem. Like that's their
Yes,
penalty.
unless it
Is
becomes a
you
safety issue
take
for
each
either
other
a
out.
driver or another
Yeah,
driver behind. I get that. I
yeah,
100% get that. If it was like Lewis and Max in 2021, but they were both on the same team at Silverstone, and Max went into the wall at 50 Gs. I get that.
yeah,
1,000%. Although Lewis didn't get fuck all for that.
yeah, yeah,
He was just like, here you go, you got the win.
yeah,
We're not taking that away from you here. But either way, you know what I mean.
yeah,
I get that. If a safety issue results, or if it's something happens where you are endangering the safety of the other drivers behind you, if it's just a note where typically would give you 5 seconds or something like that, let the teams figure it out.
yeah. Or even like, and again, we don't know. They kind of said that. Oh, both cars are being investigated, but was that just like a bluff to like make both of the drivers like stop doing what they were doing? But is there a situation where the FIA can call into the team and be like, "Hey, Mercedes, tell your drivers
Apparently,
to chill out."
there apparently is not supposed to be the communication between team principal and the
Yeah,
FIA during race situations anymore.
yeah. Due to
So it might
total.
have just been a situation where, like, you know what? I don't want to fucking deal with this anymore. And
Yeah,
just let them
yeah.
figure it
Because
out.
I'm also thinking like if there's, and this is like a super long rant now, but
Although,
I'm also thinking, oh
no, I'm just gonna, although very quickly in something like that, Bono was right on the radio and said, "Give the position back." So it might
yes,
have been a correction within the team that made the FIA say, like, "Okay, no further investigation required,"
yeah, yeah,
because it was a very low severity incident.
yeah. Well, okay. So just adding to this, George and Kimmy are fighting. They crash. Someone's debris falls off. Lando runs over it. He's not involved in an accident, but he runs over it. Maybe puts his wheel, messes up his wheel. He needs, or front wing. He needs a new front wing. He wasn't directly involved in it. Did they still get a penalty? Is there a penalty attached to them
And
since
that's
they
what I mean.
only hit each other?
If there is a safety incident that could happen. Now, this is probably not part of the regulations, but if there is a safety incident directly as a result of something else that happened or
Yeah,
puts another driver at risk, I could see a penalty being
yeah,
awarded in that case.
yeah.
Now, would it happen? I don't know.
Probably not.
This also goes back to us in the cost cap because that still goes back to the cost cap
Yeah,
to McLaren, and they're like, "Well, we don't go back to your insurance, so fuck you."
right.
Um, but no, you make a valid point.
Yeah.
I get it.
And I just thought like the way they were driving this week, and I was like, this weekend, some of it was like, if it was anybody else, another team, it would be onto the radio. That's a penalty. You give the position back. You do like, so I'm like, if it's illegal, it's illegal. But anyways, sorry, that's my very long dirty air about
That's all right.
a lot of stuff.
That's okay.
Okay.
My dirty air I have three, and one goes along with
Okay.
yours, and everything else we've talked about. Isaac Hadjar.
Okay.
Don't know where your racing head went to this week.
Yeah.
McLaren strategy. You look like complete fucking clowns.
Yep. Don't know where your
And
head
you
went this
ruined
week.
both your yeah, you both ruined both of your drivers' races this weekend.
Yeah.
I have nobody to blame but yourselves. And meaningless penalties. Um,
Jesus, they were out
the
of control
FIA.
today.
So there was, and I sent you that screenshot, just the amount of exclamation marks and investigations, and nothing came of it. Nothing.
A
I
lot of
mean,
them was nothing.
where was my thing here? Three came afterwards, which was the 5,000 suspended for 12 months, so nothing. A 5 second time penalty for Valtteri Bottas. He finished last. Like, who gives a fuck? And a
Yeah.
5 second time penalty for Gabriel Bortoleto, which I don't believe. No, let me double check. He was anywhere close to anybody.
No.
You know what? I can't even tell because he was lapped by 2 and he finished in 13th. Means absolutely fuck all.
Yeah.
Just I get it. You were investigating after the race. Just no further investigation. What does it matter?
Yeah.
It
Safety car
doesn't matter.
infringement, or not safety car, yellow flag infringement,
Yeah.
which you put on for 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Like,
That's the other thing. Like, let's have a little bit of common sense here. If a yellow flag comes up in the sector where the person's coming through and goes off, before that person has even left the sector, that's how quick the yellow flag is, or the turn, or whatever that's
Yeah.
mini sector that it's in.
yeah.
Let's have a little common sense. You didn't give them time to react. Okay, they didn't lift. Maybe they hadn't seen it because they were looking in their mirrors or something.
Yeah. Doing
It was,
a tear off.
yeah,
Like,
it was a low severity incident. Nothing happened. You didn't put
yeah.
anybody else in danger, and you're giving them a penalty that means absolutely fuck all.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make yourself look like you're. First of all, you're a volunteer.
Yeah.
It's not like you're trying to defend the amount of money you make.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Just, I don't know.
meaningless penalties are that entirely. They're meaningless.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. Fresh set.
That's it. Yeah, fresh
Fresh
set.
set.
I like my
Okay,
fresh
I'll
set a
do-
lot better than I like my dirty air.
I'll do my quick fresh set. I am going to say, I'm going to go with the obvious, with a little spin on it too. Lewis getting a second place, which he has never had at Montreal, which was a weird stat.
Oh,
He has
he's only had a first or a third. I saw
or
that
third.
too.
Yeah, weird stat. So he got a second. So he's finished.
Well, when he's on the
all-
podium, he's only had a
Yeah,
first or a third.
yeah.
Yeah.
Max doing something, getting something this
First podium of the season.
first podium. So good for him. And then Colapinto. I know he was 30 seconds behind.
No.
We didn't see much, but
Yeah.
for a guy that probably needs all of the points and all of the good drives that he can put together, I thought he had a good weekend.
Or Gasly being the only Alpine driver we've talked about so far this season. He had a great weekend, and he's really turned it on. And he like you said, he needs it. So hopefully he can keep that going.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
that's yeah.
My fresh set is going to be the escape hatches in Montreal. They gave me the most fun watching all weekend.
Entertainment. Yeah.
George, when he got out of his car, sliding through the escape hatch, and then that sad look when he's just standing by the fence watching everybody drive.
Yeah.
And then the marshal who was just escaped out of the pit lane, grabbed one piece of front wing or whatever he grabbed, and then dove.
Just dove right through it.
Through it.
Yeah.
I don't know why more, and maybe they do have it somewhere else. We just haven't seen it as visually entertaining as we've seen it in Montreal. More of these escape hatches where people can just disappear like Bugs Bunny through a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I loved it. I watched that thing like 6 times.
Yeah.
That is my fresh set. Forget everything else.
The marshals provide a lot of entertainment at a lot of races.
For it being in Montreal, the home of Just for Laughs and Just for Laughs flags, it was really just like an episode of that. So that's
the
a
way he
very
just like
uniquely Canadian thing.
dove.
Sorry, but yeah.
Yeah. But so that's it. Fresh set, dirty air. There is no race next week.
God damn it. Like there's been too many breaks. Like when are we gonna have them back to back to back?
I know.
I think it's actually right after this break.
Right after. Yeah. And then
be.
we have the Monaco Grand Prix. But yeah, we will be back and with you guys, and hopefully it won't be as long of an episode, but we will see you guys next time.
It won't be why. Some people think people are sick of us.
Yeah, maybe.
All right
I
then.
am.
Have a fresh set.
Bye.
Whatever. Whatever you want. Okay, bye.